Hey guys, and welcome to game number 63 out of 100 of the Mack vs. Machine series, where I'll be playing 100 games of Scrabble against the top online bot, HastyBot. The last couple of games have been very lopsided in our favor. We've won both of them by over 200 points, so we'll see if that streak continues today. I'm sure HastyBot will have something to say about that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. HastyBot opens with Yald, and we will be bingoing again. We have Autocade through the A, A-U-T-O-C-A-D-E. I believe that will be our only playable bingo. We actually have an interesting decision on our hands, though, because Autocade here has a major drawback defensively, which is ending one square below a double word, so that if he has an S, he'll be able to make a big play or possibly 100-point bingo across there. Autocade over here has a big drawback, which of course is putting the E smack in the middle of this triple-triple lane. So it's kind of pick your poison. Pretty close, I'd say, here. I'm not actually sure. I mean, the nice thing, I guess, about playing it down here is that the E is a lot easier to deal with if somehow he leaves it open, right? It should be pretty easy for me to deal with the E, whether by using it for a good score or blocking it next turn. Whereas if I play Autocade here, it's a little bit tougher to block, because often when I play parallel to it, then I'll just be putting a tile next to this double word that an S goes well next to. If I play something like, I don't know, like Fed, F-E-D, then he could just start a word with S-E and still score a lot of points. On the other hand, I mean, starting a bingo with an S is not particularly easy to do. I do give back a lot of just easy 50-point plays, though. Like, I mean, Zips or something would score 50 very easily. It's kind of a tough call. I'm sort of leaning towards playing it down here. Just again, because it's sort of like I give him one shot to cause a lot of damage with the E. And if he can't, then I should be able to deal with it pretty quickly. So I think I'm going to go for this. And he doesn't even use it. He just plays Janty for 30. And I pick up a blank. I think Fadge is pretty clear here. 36 points. Blocks the E, keeps TV blank. I mean, not really much else to consider. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. And wow, I am just on a luck trade over here. Demi-Volt for 101 comes down immediately for us. Okay, so he does get Fleecier down, and we're not going to be running away with this game, but we do still have a lot of points. I mean, we've scored 209 points in just 3 turns, which is a lot. We're averaging basically 70 points a turn, so kind of surprising. We're not up by more. We're not even up. We're actually down here. But at least this will hopefully be a more interesting game than the last few. But okay, now let's slow down a little bit and figure out what we want to do. We've got kind of a clunky rack here with 2 B's, 2 I's, and a G. I don't see anything great. Nib here, pretty clunky leave. Could play Trigo here. I actually prefer BBI as a leave to BGIRT. Just because at least the 2 B's can somewhat go together pretty well for scoring, and BGIRT is just so clunky and constant heavy. So I think I'm leaning towards Trigo over Nib. Of course, Nib does have the advantage of taking out that X spot, which is nice. And Nib does save Trigo for next turn as well. So there is something to be said for that. I don't think I have anything using one of the B's that gets to this O. I'm not seeing any other particularly good options. I feel like I should at least try to take out one of these spots. I mean, BBI could work out reasonably well, but it could also be very clunky. So maybe I am better off just playing Nib to take out that spot. Just BGIRT is so bad. So it's kind of a tough call. Yeah, I don't really see any other good options in other parts of the board. I don't think I have much to this A. Don't think I have anything through this L. Definitely nothing from this E. An open E for Gibbet, Gibbet, would be helpful. But not gonna happen here. Huh. Yeah, I think it is just between Nib and Trigo. Neither of them are great. They score basically the same. Nib scores one more. I feel like I'm leaning towards Nib just because Trigo is pretty likely to stay open next turn at the minimum, and I might even get something better there. And it is nice to take out that big X spot. He just turned over 7 tiles, so he's fairly likely to have pulled an X. It's also a good spot for like a Y or something like that, so I think I'm going to play Nib. Alright, he plays Jaw. So now I did pull an S, which is good. I can obviously still play Trigo, which I very well may do in the absence of any other particularly appealing options. I don't have any sort of like crazy 9s. I almost have abattoirs. If my G was an A, that would be pretty cool. Don't think I got anything better with the B. So I think Trigo is probably still the right play, which is part of what I was anticipating. And part of the reason why I played Nib. Yeah, I don't see anything else, so let's go ahead and play that. Alright, he plays Oh-Ho. We have some 8s. Airboat doesn't fit to this R. Sailboat doesn't fit through this L. Nothing through a T, as far as I know. Nothing through a V. So not quite a bingo here. Not a terrible rack, though. Do I have anything in this spot? Maybe making Bod? Could just play Ab. I mean, it's 26 points. It's not bad. It scores pretty well. I just don't generally enjoy keeping leaves like AIOST, especially with so many E's and I's in the scene, because it's a type of rack where if you bingo, that's great, but if you don't, you're going to look pretty silly, and you're probably just not going to be scoring a lot of points. This is also not a good board, because for bingoing, there aren't really any spots for 7s, especially without an E to play next to Fleecier. So I kind of am leaning more towards a play like O, which scores the same, has a lower bingo percentage, but it keeps a much better lead for scoring, assuming I don't bingo. So just given the way the board stands right now, I think I'm leaning towards Oat. Assuming we play in that spot. Maybe there's a play in another spot that's better. Although that spot does feel like probably the way to go. I mean, it scores a lot of points. Yeah, I don't really see anything through this C or from this V. I guess there's bloat over here. 20. Yeah, no, I mean, there's no reason to give up 6 points for O. The B is not a terrible tile because it balances out the rack a little bit and keeps better scoring potential. Yeah, I mean, I think Ab is probably higher on static, but just because this board is... And also, like, we have floating I, OT. Like, AIOST is just not a good lead for bingoing on this board. So I'm going to play Oat. He plays Funner. Pretty aggressive play. Not a terrible draw for us. A little clunky, but we should be able to score. At the minimum, we have Brawl, which is actually probably our best play. GHIS is not a bad lead. It goes... The GH goes pretty well together. As long as we don't have a bingo, which I can't imagine we do. I have a hard time imagining we're going to do any better. Guess we could play like Grab. It doesn't make sense to give up 9 points. Yeah, probably just draw. I have a hard time believing we're going to be able to score many more points than that, so I think that's fine. He plays Zonk, so it's basically a tie game. He's up 1. Kind of clunky draw. There's all these E's left, too, so there's a lot of potential for our back to improve. There's also 4 more I's, so I definitely feel a need to get rid of one of my I's. And I might do that by playing Gersh. Scores 36. Spends my S, but there are 2 S's unseen still, so I'm not too concerned. The S is not particularly exclusive. Keeps the X for scoring, which is not bad. I could also just play XIS immediately. HRIG, kind of clunky, though. I think I'd much rather keep XI here. I could draw the Q, which is kind of annoying, but at least I can drop it next to the I in Fleecier for 20. Or maybe QI and GI, assuming I play Gersh. So, it's not a good tile to get, but it's not horrible. Or as horrible as it might be in other circumstances. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Gersh. It also does take out the T on the bottom, which is nice. And I'm starting to accumulate a lead, so if I can start closing down the bingo lines, then I may be able to solidify my advantage. Yeah, I think this looks good. He just drops the P. So he's clearly fishing for a bingo. And he's probably going for something to this T or this R. Could also bingo next to Bra or through the N and Funner, although those are a bit harder to hit and won't score as many points. Probably just play Oxide and score. I mean, 38, that puts me up 60. Which is not a foolproof lead at all, especially if he bingos to that T. So I need to think about this a little bit more. Huh. What if I block? Maybe, yeah, I guess I could just play Ox, too. I mean, IEST bingos will still fit. My lead is so much better, too. I could even hit an IEST bingo and just end the game on the spot. There's 1 S unseen. It's definitely a threat, but at least it takes out bingos to the R and some bingos to the T. Like, it takes out, I mean, it doesn't take out a lot, because LT, PT all still fit. Huh. I mean, Ox still accomplishes more than Oxide. It scores this basically the same thing. It minimizes my chances of drawing the Q, which is actually a good thing, too. Keeps just a much better lead, and it does at least block something. So probably Ox is fine. Worth mentioning, no A for Dioxanes for a bingo. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just going to go ahead and play Ox. Okay, so he plays Nerviest. I do draw the Q. I pick up the Y, which is actually not a bad thing because it's a very good scoring tile, and I'm not going to probably need to bingo to win. Because look at the unseen pool, guys. I mean, for one, it's 9 vowels and 3 consonants, which is extremely badly balanced. And, I mean, other than the P, it's all 1-pointers. So I feel like, I mean, if I just drop the Q, I'm going to go up 3. It's his turn. But he just is not going to have a good way to score. He doesn't have a place to bingo with Yolapile or anything like that. And I feel fairly confident about my prospects of just outrunning him in the endgame. Could also play Quins. One nice thing about Quins, or Quids, but I'd probably keep the D for scoring. One nice thing about Quins is that it leaves 2 in the bag as opposed to 4. So that when he plays, he'll probably be emptying the bag, or he'll much more likely be emptying the bag. The drawback is if he plays a lot of tiles with something like Polite over here, he may be able to go out next turn, and that could cause me problems. So it's a little bit of a drawback. Maybe, I mean, yeah, if I just play QI, like, how do I lose? I mean, I feel like I just have more than enough points to outrun anything. I need to move quickly, unfortunately. I'm getting very low on time. Yeah, I mean, Quins, if he plays Polite, I should probably just be able to outrun too. Yeah, I'm going to just play QI. I think it's a little safer. Okay, so he plays Pico, which is a lot. But he's going to have garbage. So he has oh, the bag is empty. Okay, let me quickly solve this if I can. I mean, if I just play like Deity, do I win? Yeah, this is annoying. don't have a lot of time. Yeah, I mean, if I just play like in something, Ains. How about Ains and then die somewhere? Shoot. Or I'll just play Deity. I think I win. Isle and then. Oh my god! Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I won by 1. I mean, that was a terrible endgame, I'm quite sure. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, that was a horrible, horrible endgame. I finished with like half a second on my clock. I just didn't see a good out for myself after Ains. Like, it was actually kind of annoying for me to go out in 2 there. There just aren't a lot of good places to play tiles on this board. Dynast, which I saw, is probably a little bit better. But not much better because IE doesn't go out. I wonder what my best endgame was there. I mean, I'm sure I had something considerably better than what I played, but maybe not like that much better. I don't know. Crazy game. 454 to 453. Sheesh. Let's take a look from the beginning, and then we'll probably put that endgame into Quackle. Okay, so he opens with Yald. Yeah, interesting decision again here between Autocade here and Autocade here. Like I said, I mean, the immediate disaster potential is obviously greater where I played it because he could triple for 180, and that would be really bad. But in the long run, it's much less likely this E is going to stay open than this spot, and there is considerable potential for him to score big with a double-double starting with an S, and it's just not that easy for me to block, since, like I said, if I play parallel, then he could just play an 8 through whatever tile I just played, potentially. So I think there's arguments to be made for both placements, but I'm fine with my decision here. Luckily for me, he couldn't really capitalize using his J, so Janty is probably fine for him. Yeah, Fadge clearly best here. He bingos with Amarones, and I luck into Demivolt for 101 points. Yeah, and just a back and forth battle of the bingos here. He plays Fleecier, which looks correct, and Ribbit is an option over here I didn't consider, which may be worth considering. It scores a bit less. It keeps GI, which is not a great leave, but it's a little bit better than BGIRT or BBI for sure, and it does give me some more chances to maybe pull an S. What I don't love about it is it actually does set up an S hook, and there are 3 S's unseen. Or actually, wait, is Ribbit's good now that I think of it? I can't remember if Ribbit takes an S. I'm going to just quickly check. Yeah, or here, I can check here. It does. Okay, Ribbit is a noun. It's not an interjection. Okay, yeah, I thought it did, but I just wanted to make sure before I said that. So yeah, Ribbit does set up an S hook, which he just turned over 7 tiles. He's probably more likely to get the first S than I am, and right now there isn't really a good S hook on the board, so that's a slight disadvantage for me. That being said, it may just be worth it because of the better leave and turning over some more tiles. So I don't think this is a big mistake, if a mistake at all, because like I said, with Nib I at least do save Trigo for next turn, which is not particularly likely to get taken. So I think it's perfectly reasonable. He plays Jaw. Could play Gnaw here, but I think Jaw is perfectly fine. Maybe Hue. I don't know. I just HU together. Pretty bad. On the other end, the W is pretty bad too. So, I don't know. I might actually favor Hue. Like, even though you keep the W, HU is a pretty bad combo. And EH-NSU is actually not very likely at all to bingo, and it's kind of clunky to deal with for scoring. Like, AENSW, I think you're just going to have a lot more flexibility to score points if you don't bingo. And you're probably even more likely to bingo, especially you can draw stuff starting with, like, WE, making EW and RE next to Fleecier. So I'm not sure about this one, but I think Hue may have been a little bit better. Trigo looks good. Oho here. Unhood is an option, but I think Oho is fine. I mean, again, I don't love the U, but ENSU is pretty well balanced. You have some good potential for bingoing, and you do score 10 more points. Yep, not at all surprised, as I said in-game, to see AB come out on top equity-wise, but on a different board I would have played it, but on this board I just wasn't loving AIOST, since the best bingo lines, which are 7s here next to Fleecier, aren't going to work for me since I don't have an E. Also, these bingo lines with a T are not particularly good since I have a second T on my rack. So it just is not a particularly good leave for bingoing, and bingoing is the only good thing about that leave. It doesn't have any scoring tiles, and I didn't want to put all my eggs in the bingoing basket on this board, so Oat is just a little bit of a lower variance play. I bingo a lot less, probably, but when I don't bingo, I'm just going to be in much better shape with a B on my rack. Funner is... I'm not sure I like this. I mean, it just gives back so much. I would have gone with In Run. You have an S... You have ENS, you know, it's a really good leave. You're not in a great position since you'll be down to tempo. Be aggressive, set up your S. I mean, don't just give back easy plays here without really accomplishing anything for your rack or your bingo prospects for the next turn. I think I like In Run or In Earn a lot better. Maybe actually In Earn, because it makes it a little bit harder for me to overlap under there. I think that would have been a better play. But yeah, Brawl clearly correct here. Zonk looks good. Keeps a strong lead. You could go with... Nah, I was going to say Spritz, but you don't want to give back this S here. I mean, it's just going to be... The 43 points you get are going to be completely neutralized by whatever I'm expected to score here. So Zonk seems good. Could have gone with XIS, as I mentioned, but the X is a nice tile here for scoring, and GHIR just pretty clunky. I mean, I guess I'd say Girth for the next turn at the minimum, but XI has so much more potential to improve if he gives me an opening and or I get the right tiles. So I think Gersh holding onto the X makes sense. It also blocks the T on the bottom, which is nice for me too, which XIS does not. Wow, okay, so he had Privets over here. Didn't play. And yeah, this was... Oh, I didn't see Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't actually see Redox, but I don't think I can play that after a one-tile fish. I mean, maybe I can. Like, he's not likely to bingo through the X. You could make the argument, actually, that he's not likely to bingo to the X, or through the X, even after a one-tile fish, and I'll have the X to score with. That would be the argument in favor of Redox, which is kind of interesting. I mean, there really aren't any... Like, if he kept... I mean, assuming he kept what he kept, there isn't really anything he can draw there. He could have Vertexes or Vortexes if he had something other than what he kept, like, from my perspective. And I'm sure there's some other things, like pole axes. There's stuff, but there's not a ton. And it will be nice for me to get an extra scoring boost. Of course, if I can even hit the X, right? I keep INS, and that's not a guarantee that I'm going to have a play with the X. Like, even if I draw an E, I need 2 E's for X sign. Like, even if I draw an E and an R or something, like, I don't even have something there. So, I don't know. I feel like just playing Ox, keeping a really solid leave, taking away some amount of bingos is probably just a little bit more sound. Yeah, I'm okay with this play. It turns out he does get Nervious down, and then, yeah, maybe I should play Quins or Quids. I don't know. I mean, again, the main benefit of that is that I leave 2 in the bag so that his plays are more likely to empty the bag. Of course, a drawback, though, is I could draw, like, 3 I's or something, or IIU, and that could maybe even lead me to be in trouble in the endgame, since I'll have a lot of trouble dealing with my tiles. With DEINSY, I basically know, 6 out of 7 of what my full rack will be going into the endgame, and they all work pretty well together. So I think that's probably fine. Yeah, I just don't think, again, and I'm sure I didn't play that endgame right, but I got the sense that he's just not going to really be able to score very well. I didn't see this Pico spot, to be fair, but he's just got way too many vowels and one-pointers that I felt I should be able to pretty easily outrun him. Yeah, Pico, great play by him. And, oh, I missed Aces. Yeah, that's clearly better for one than what I played. Dynast maybe better. Yeah, Lies. I missed, yeah, but Lies doesn't save an out, so I need to be a little bit careful. I probably just have enough to outrun him. That's the thing. I guess that's the thing, right? Because, like, yeah, I actually probably didn't even need to go out with San, now that I think of it after Deity. And, yeah. Okay, I think that was where I went wrong here. I don't need to go out in 2 here, guys. Like, he's got 3 I's, 2 L's, and a U. He's not going out for 3 turns. I don't need to play out in 2. So I should just play probably something like Lie or Lies and go out in 3, and I'll get way more spread. Yeah, that's... in fairness, I had 45 seconds, but, like, I came so close to losing this. And there are so many winning plays here. Yeah, I also probably here... Oh, I missed sand for 8 more right under that with spoof. Yeah, that would have definitely given me a little bit more breathing room. It was basically all I could do to just, in my 3 seconds, to see that this won by 1. I basically calculated that, and then by the time I calculated that, I had half a second left. So even if I didn't win, I would have had no choice but to play it. But yeah, I finished with 9/10 of a second and end up winning by 1 point. So just absolutely absurd stuff. But yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't even go out here, right? Because he's not threatening to go out. His best plays are like 10 points. So instead of playing sand to go out, I should probably just play off my S somewhere for a lot. I mean, I don't even know what my best S spot is, or I should play like brawn and then as somewhere. Or like, no, I should play like AN over here. Almost definitely. I should play like AN and then go out with my S for a lot more. Yeah, like that's clearly what I should do here, right? I mean, it's going to be way better if I don't go out. So, I mean, in general, out in 2 sequences are much more straightforward and easy to calculate. But yeah, in this case, I'm going to be getting by far and away the most spread in this endgame if I just sort of take 3 turns to go out. So make a play here. Yeah, probably lie. Just lie instead of lies looks like a great play. Just do that, score well with the Y, then play something like INS next turn, and then play off the A and the D over here. Like that's just a way, way, way better play to get more spread here. Because like I said, he's got 3 I's and 2 L's. He is not going to be going out in 2 turns, and it's not even going to be easy for him to go out in 3. So yeah, I mean this is a pretty crappy effort at the end game, if I'm being honest. So very fortunate that I somehow lucked out and ended up winning by 1. That could have easily been a blown game. So fortunate that it worked out, but yeah, we will take it. I mean, other than the end game though, I am very, very happy with how I played that game. I don't think I made any clear mistakes. Nib was questionable instead of Ribbit, but other than that, I feel like everything was pretty clear cut. I'm happy with. I guess my placement of Autocade is also questionable. I feel like there are probably some players who would disagree with that, but yeah, I think I'm okay with my decision there. And yeah, just wish maybe I'd left myself more time or just didn't play such a stressful line in the end game there. That was a close one. But yeah, anyway, glad to come away with the win, and hope you guys enjoyed that one. And yeah, I'll see you soon for game number 64. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.